We'd just been sailing down the Medway and had spent a night moored up at Chatham Marina after a delightful interlude on Colin's yacht, when he asked us if we'd like to look around the historic Dockyard at Chatham. Actually, the occasion of its birthday. I'd heard that it was the most complete example of a dockyard of the age of sail in the world. The tickets were £24, less 10% for being members of the geriatric club, though in my case, I had to provide proof. I quickly pointed to this lady, apparently born in 1724, and I said I was older than she. And that did the trick, and we were soon walking out into the beautiful English summer's day, ready to explore. Not only is this museum home to sailing boats, but all the boats ever built here. And our first encounter was with a submarine built in 1962. Not a yellow one, a black one, named Ocelot, after a leopard-like South American feline. Don't ask me why. I would have thought orca would have been more suitable, but they didn't ask me. I've actually been for a dive in a submarine years ago, and I was looking forward to looking around. This particular sub was mainly on patrol during the Cold War years. It was fascinating to observe it close up, the crew's quarters. Doors here being round and low. The word cramped, struggling to describe the living conditions. The feeling of déjà vu as a result of me seeing the Red October film years ago, before Sean Connery qualified for his 10% off. Life on a sub must have been difficult. Our tour of the ship enabled us to see every part, even the engine room, where the diesel engines powered the sub. It was also powered by 2 electric motors when silence was needed. The guide, by the way, was excellent. Next stop was also fascinating, a visit to where rope is made. I say is made because they still make rope here, and we were treated to a demonstration. The rope they make here begins with 1,000-foot-long strands, and the room is 1,135 feet long, and was the largest brick building in Europe. The hemp from which the rope is made was specially treated, and special contraptions weave the rope. A sailing ship in those days needed 31 miles of rope, 20 miles alone for the rigging, and rope has been made here since 1618. So rope for Nelson's flagship was made here. Nelson's ship, the Victory, was built on the site of No. 2 dock, where the HMS Cavalier is now moored. This is a World War II destroyer built in 1944, and we were able to climb aboard and see what life was like for sailors afloat. The grog barrel. Grog is rum and water. The sailors got a ration every day. My dad had a suitcase like that. It's not as cramped as a sub, but certainly not a cruise ship. The food apparently was okay, but the naffy shop gave mariners a chance to augment their diet. The operations room? At least on the ship they could go up on deck. But the bridge was not enclosed, so when a North Sea gale was blowing, it was probably a little breezy up here. The officers had a slightly easier time than the crew. This is the galley, the officers' wardroom. They even had their own bar. The captain's quarters. It was very interesting to get an insight into life on board. Next stop, HMS Gannet, a sloop of the Victorian Navy, but with a twist. Built in 1878, it was powered by both sail and steam. Ships like this kept their sails in order to allow them to stay out on the ocean much longer without having to get coal supplies. The funnel was central. Full rigging made it fast, but as no fuel was required, it gave the ship great flexibility. Looking up, one begins to see why 20 miles of rope was required. Having a clipper bow, it was built of teak on an iron frame, and very fast. The large covered building is number 3 slip, and is the largest of the covered slips where ships were built. Nowadays it houses all kinds of exhibits from years gone by, some very old, some not so old. Trains and boats and planes, almost. The most amazing thing is the building itself. When built in 1838, it was Europe's biggest wide-span timber building. There's an exhibition of lifeboats here, of all shapes and sizes. It had certainly been a great visit, though we didn't have enough time to see everything. It was nevertheless a fascinating peek into the past.